join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Review of public meeting minutes.
It's hard when you're the one who's hurt.
There you go. Good.
We have a meeting going down to Canyon on Thursday to the BLM for a meeting on the wild and scenic designation discussion for the Arkansas. And I'm attending a culinary event at the county fair that evening.
That's a nice way to put it.
You're all invited. And that's, I don't have anything significant besides that before our next meeting.
I don't either. Yeah. I keep trying to call that, but I don't know where it is. Just for being in no bars here. All right. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak to anything that is not on today's agenda? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and review the minutes of July 18th.
I move we approve the minutes of July 18th.
Second, been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Item A, consider a request for a new hotel and restaurant liquor license from Buffalo Smokehouse Barbecue, 4710 East US Highway 50, Salida, continued from July 18th, 2017. Lori, do you have anything to add, or do we just want to jump into this?
I think you have continued this because we wanted a report from Dan about the ISDS.
Yeah, I had a question about that too, just on this piece that was added to our packet. Is that, did you write that, Red?
Yes,
Dan?
those comments, the comments in red were mine.
Okay,
The,
it wasn't clear.
Yeah, the document that they're written on was provided by Mr. Graves, along with, he provided a 2-page document that I looked at, and it is based on paper service only, and he had testimony at the last meeting that he is doing dishes there. Additionally, it's sized for about half of what is required for what he's doing. So it is undersized based on the information that I have by quite a bit. And in fact, it may be, if it's sized accordingly with our current regulations, and I will point out it was designed under our old regulations, but under our current regulations, he may be pushing at 2,000 gallons per day, which would require state permitting. I just don't know how many seats are on his patio, and I don't know how many lounge seats he's proposing. But even without that, he's about 1,500 gallons per day, without any patio or lounge seating. So it's my opinion that it's not large enough to do what he wants to do without an additional engineering evaluation.
So when you got this table with the different uses.
Yes.
And so, paper service, it's 25 gallons per seat in the,
Yep. Gallons per day per seat.
okay?
And you'll notice above that, if it's, if they're washing dishes, it's twice that, it's 50. Two-
Yeah,
two columns
yeah,
of that.
yeah, on the paper service. But then with the additional for bars and cocktail lounges per seat, you, does that mean it's 55 per seat, or it's 30 for like cocktail seating and 25 for
So,
restaurants?
so it means it's 50 gallons per seat for the restaurant, and the bar and lounge is 30 gallons per seat per day. So it's 20 less for a cocktail lounge seat than it is a restaurant seat.
50 if he's doing China, or whatever you call it.
Well, no, I
Washing
mean,
dishes.
in the lounge, it's 30 regardless of whether he's doing dishes or not. So it was based on 27 seats at 25 gallons per day with no lounge seating. I'm assuming since he's applying for a liquor license, he will have a lounge. So there'll be an additional 30 gallons per seat for those lounge seats per day. So in other words, it's not 80 gallons per seat, it's 50 for the restaurant, 30 for the lounge.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning. I thought today was the day of the exams. My apologies.
You're off the hook.
Did you have any other questions, Dan?
Well, I guess the only questions I had for Mr. Graves is, how many seats do you have on your patio, and how many seats will you have in the lounge?
Oh, there is no lounge, sir. We're just a restaurant that's gonna carry bottled beer.
Okay, so
We're
you're
not a
not
bar.
planning on having a bar?
No, sir.
Okay, so we won't have that, apparently that additional 30 won't apply unless he puts in a bar, and then do you have any outdoor seating?
I have 2 picnic tables that would hold 6 people each.
Well, that makes more sense. So they, that 30 is because you're washing a lot of glasses and stuff?
Right.
And maybe bathroom use?
Right.
Okay.
So at that, if he only has 6 outdoor seating and he has no bar, he is under the 2,000, he's about 1,800 gallons per day. So that would leave him under the 2,000, which would allow him to be permitted through the county and not through the state.
And is it correct that his capacity of his actual system is 1,899 gallons, or is that?
That's the size of his tank,
Uh-huh,
not necessarily his absorption field.
okay. Well, this is confusing to figure out, but is he okay?
In my opinion, he's not. It's designed for about half of what is required under our current regulations because it was designed for paper service only. So it's only designed for 25 gallons per seat per day, and it should be 50 if it's not paper service. Because you have the additional load on the system by washing your dishes rather than throwing away paper plates and cups.
But, so you've got 27 seats plus 12 at picnic tables? Is that the right count?
Actually, no, I have 45 seats in the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
And then the tables outside? 57 times 50.
That's even worse.
So what does that do then?
2850 gallons per day, so it's way over the state thresholds if that's the case, if he has that many seats.
But does that mean then he has to get a state permit?
It does.
Or go back to paper?
Or go back to paper as an option.
So if you went back to paper, then what he's applying for would be allowed? Or would he still have to upgrade the OWTS?
Well, I think it would be allowed if you went back to paper at 47 seats. Did you say 47 or 45?
45, sir.
45 seats, plus 12 outside, right?
Correct.
That's 57 seats times 25 is 1425 plus 118 for the bathroom. So if you went back to paper, he would be 1,543 gallons per day. And again, the state threshold for state permitting is 2,000. So he would be compliant if he went back to paper service only. He's not compliant now. He's over 3,000 gallons per day currently if he washes dishes.
Well, the license is for a hotel and restaurant license, so it's not bottled beer only, so I'm presuming there would be glasses.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, you can get a beer and wine license only, which would just be beer and wine. But
That is what I'm after, only.
Well, your application is for a hotel and restaurant license, which would include hard liquor as well.
Yeah, I would like to omit that.
That'll actually reduce your fee for the application.
What's anybody's suggestion then to continue this once again to get the application corrected? But then, I guess, Rusty, what I'd ask you to do is get with Dan
Yes, sir.
and determine, and you're gonna have to decide if you wanna go with out paper, and then you're gonna have to come up with a solution.
I had done that. The reason I quit, it's such an impact on the earth. That stuff makes truckloads.
No, I understand, I understand, Rusty.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna have to correct your system.
But we're gonna do whatever it takes to be compliant.
How much?
We appreciate that.
How much?
And the fact about going from the paper to, I'm sorry.
How much time do you need, Dan?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of time that I need. I think it's a matter of time that Mr. Graves needs to get with an engineer potentially to have him evaluate the system and either make recommendations for upgrade or make a recommendation that it's acceptable as it is in accordance with our current regulations, which I don't believe it is. But I think it's more the time frame for him to get with an engineer to have that evaluated. Once he gets that to me, it's just a matter of, a day I can review it.
Will the current sheet I give to you, would that not be compliant if I'm with paper?
It would be based on the information that you gave today.
Then I will do paper.
Okay.
I don't like washing dishes anyway, but it keeps my hands soft.
If you want to go just beer and wine, then you need to make a new application.
Yes. Get that made and turned back in. And the other regulations should be correct, is that what I'm understanding?
If he goes back to paper.
Yeah, it appears he'd be compliant based on the seating capacity that he gave today. He would be compliant if it was paper only.
Very good.
All right, let's continue this. How much time do you need, Rusty?
Couple of days.
Because all the technical background stuff, that just rolls over, right? We don't have to do
Correct,
that.
we'll just start over on just a new application, but all of his other stuff he would need that anyway.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we'll continue this till next week, then August 1st.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Consider request for a plat amendment from Embry Homes Incorporated, Jack Embry, property that's located at County Road 175 in Pinyon Hill subdivision. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
You're not Barton, though.
No, we work on all of these things together, so I'll try to fill her shoes here.
Okay.
This is for the Embry plat amendment. This is a revision of the building envelope. For section 5.2.3.I, no public notice is required for a plat amendment. The applicant is Jack Embry for Embry Homes, Inc. This request is to amend the building envelopes for lots 212R and 213R. And this is of the Pinion Hill subdivision replat of lots 212, 213, and 214, also known as the Embry lot line adjustment. This plat created 2 lots out of 3 lots due to the presence of transmission line and the 100-year floodplain through the properties. This application is to reduce the front setback on the southeastern property line, which is along County Road 175, from 50 feet to 25 feet. This setback meets the setback requirements of Table 2.1 of the Land Use Code. Decreasing the setback to 25 feet creates additional building area on both of these 2 lots. The front setback on the northwestern side will remain at 50 feet due to steep slopes. These properties are currently vacant. This property is zoned rural, and this application does not impact the density of the site. A single-family home is proposed to be built on each lot. And the sketch on page 2 shows you where the 100-year floodplain is in blue. It shows in orange where the building setback is being changed from 50 feet to 25 feet. And then the yellow highlight shows the extent of each one of the lots, 212R and 213R. I've answered any questions that you have.
I have a question. It seems like in the past with things similar to this anyway, there's been a notice from the HOA saying they agree to this?
This is true, and we always request a letter when there is an active HOA. The Pinion Hills HOA is no longer an entity. They have basically abandoned their HOA. So there is no entity for us to get a letter from. And then also, this was an existing replat where they took 3 lots that were of questionable value and turned them into 2 solidly buildable lots.
Is the floodplain the area between the 2 blue lines?
Yes, that is
Okay,
correct.
so the water would channelize through the area.
That is correct. It's kind of a low spot that we have a number of the Pinion Hill subdivision.
But this is that main wash down the west side, or east side.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
And out
is.
of U Trail. Yeah.
Is the applicant here?
It's my understanding that the applicant had an unexpected call out of town, and so he was unable to attend this meeting.
No testimony from him. Do you have any question? Members of the public? It's in the public hearing. Okay. So this is just administrative then, John?
More or less, we will get the Mylar.
It didn't
from-
go through P and Z?
No, this plat amendment like this.
Your
does not go
recommendation
through.
is this is a good thing and we can go forward?
Yes, this will create additional room for them to build their single-family residences outside of the floodplain. Not quite sure why it was planted with 50-foot setbacks on the last replat. So this really is going to allow them to construct on the property.
Okay. So we can get this done and get moving on.
Move we approve the Embry plat amendment revision of building envelope.
Second.
Then moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then we have the 9:30 public hearing and it is 9:20. We'll go ahead and go to item D, consider resolution for double helix minor subdivision. Jenny?
Did this not make it in your packet?
I don't have a resolution.
I don't have a reso, I got the,
I just got an email.
Unless it's not, wait. What's E?
That is for red.
He is red line.
Red Lane, that's right. Guess not.
What,
I don't know if you want to, maybe you'd like to have those in front of you. I apologize, I sent it on Friday. So I don't know what it is.
Jenny, I haven't seen it either, just.
So would it be appropriate
I'm
then
just
to go ahead
pulling it
and
up.
continue?
It's up to you. I
Well,
can
if
read
the
it,
applicant hasn't seen it
but
either, would you like to see it prior to adoption?
Prior to adoption. So that would put us 2 weeks out. Is
No,
that
next
right?
week.
August
week.
1st.
Next
It would be
week,
next
we're,
week. I mean, that would be fine with me. I mean, I don't expect there to be anything, but I haven't seen it, so yeah.
how long is it?
It's fairly long. There was a lot of issues on it.
Oh, yeah, with all the different roads and stuff.
I'm sorry, I just realized it wasn't in my packet, so I don't have it.
well, let's go ahead then, let's do it right. Let's go ahead and continue this till next Tuesday at the courthouse in Salida then.
Sorry to have you drive up there.
Yeah.
I think Christie had discussed it with you, according to my notes.
Right, she
Okay.
discussed it, but I didn't see the draft.
Okay. I mean, it's up to you all if you want
Next week is okay. I'd like to review it if I may.
That's fine, okay.
Probably.
So we'll go to item E, reconsider resolution 2017-44 regarding the Redlinger subdivision exemption.
to. Right, and
And I'm
this.
here to comment on it.
Okay.
This was a resolution that the board had already approved. It was resolution 2017-44. You've already approved the subdivision. The only issue was the lot sales restriction. The resolution that you approved had the lot sales restriction on both lots, which is how we typically do it, but it allowed parcel A, which was the northerly lot, to be sold, which was what the applicant was intending. This is the one where they were going to do the boundary line adjustment, so it would merge into an adjoining lot.
Yeah, this is out on 133.
306.
Or a lot line elimination
Right,
completely.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So the resolution would allow that, but after it was approved, Christie pointed out that the intent was to allow parcel B to also, to not be subject to the,
Restriction.
yeah, the lot sales restriction because parcel B already has the water on it. And so this is just simply to allow the lot sales restriction to be only on parcel A. So we would have to amend the resolution to allow that. And because you all have already approved it, we need to bring it back to you.
You're saying parcel B has?
Generally, what we do is if there's improvements that need to be made, in this case, we needed either the lot line elimination or a water augmentation certificate for parcel A, and that the access permits be required. And so those are really the only, and an address, I guess, and those were the only things that needed to be done. Typically, we just have a lot sales restriction on all the lots until whatever needs to be done is done. They're asking that the lot sales restriction only be on parcel A, and that lot sales restriction be allow for the applicant to sell to the adjoining
Yeah.
parcel. Which it already provides that, but the lot sales restriction is on all parcels, or both parcels, there's only two.
Did you just say that parcel B has an augmented well already?
I believe so.
Because
They did provide a certificate of augmentation. So-
Because it says in D1, applicant has not submitted proof of augmentation for parcel A or parcel B.
D110.
So
I
I
think
think
that
I
was
can-
at the time.
If you would give me about 5 minutes, I can clarify absolutely everything that has taken place.
But we don't know if it's in the resolution, but go ahead.
Well, and I have not seen the resolution. If I may speak, or...
Go ahead.
We need to clarify it.
Dan?
State your name.
Oh, in front of the camera? Oh.
Go ahead.
I didn't want
Go ahead and
to,
give
my
your
back
name
to
and
all the
address.
people.
Dan, give
Here,
your
tell you
name
what,
and
we're
address.
gonna make you a spot there.
Okay, good. My name is Daniel J. Dan Cooper, 17570 Trout Creek Circle in Buena Vista. I am a broker for Century 21 Summit Realty, and some of you know me as an advocate for smart growth and affordable housing for Chaffee County. I would like to review the record beginning basically what led to the June 27th approval, if I might. And I think we can clarify some things here which would be helpful. And first of all, my thanks to John, Christie, and staff to guide us through the minor exemption process. These comments are really addressed to Attorney Davis and the county commissioners. On behalf of my client, the Redlinger Family Trust, I submitted an application for the minor subdivision. It was allowed because County Road 306, as you recall, bifurcated the property into approximate 30-acre and 8.5-acre parcels. It was submitted May 8th after consultation with and very good assistance from John and Christie. All details were included in the submission. I would like the commissioners and attorney to note 2 documents that I am going to hand out. I have 5 copies, so however many you can do. The first is just a brief narrative in the submission that sets the context. The second is a letter, personal letter written and signed by Mr. Rudy Perez explaining his intentions for Parcel A on the north side of 306. And what Attorney Davis just said, I think indicates that you all are comfortable with that approach. And at the June 27th hearing, the commissioners voted 3-0 for approval of the staff recommendation. With this approval, and not until the approval, Mr. Redlinger instructed me to purchase 1 share of water augmentation for $4,215 from the Upper Ark Water Conservancy. Time was of the essence as we had willing buyers for both parcels, most unusual situation, and a county commissioner pathway was approved to make this happen. That same day, Ms. Linda Cook of the Upper Ark received the application from me. It was reviewed along with the documentation from the hearing earlier that morning. I received a letter of approval on that same day from Linda, and my thanks to her for expediting. And just so everybody has a copy of that, there is the letter of approval for the certificate. My point here is that the Redlingers, Kevin Burgess of Top of the Line Survey, and I followed all the regulations both in letter and in spirit for submission for the minor subdivision exemption. Throughout the process, we have acted in good faith, and as I think the county has. And by the way, it's fair to say that the survey work, which exceeded $8,000 on this particular 40-acre parcel, bifurcated by 306, and paid for by the Redlingers, will serve as a landmark survey, because there literally was nothing recorded for this area when Kevin and I, with John's help, searched the record. This is a landmark survey paid for by the Redlingers, $8,000. And I know Kevin and John spoke frequently to get it right. Business decisions have been made and money spent. And so I didn't know exactly what was the issue. I had not been contacted after the 11th Everybody knew that I was involved, so I'm operating a little bit uninformed, and I apologize, that's not my style. But again, we acted in good faith. Staff approved a way forward. You have a landmark survey, and if there is a concern about a precedent being set by not purchasing water augmentation for the north, I submit that the extenuating circumstances are well documented, so the precedent is de minimis. So with all due respect, may I suggest the following way forward. Lot sales restrictions are not needed in this case for parcel A, as indicated earlier, or parcel B, because as you now have proof that all requirements have been met. Further, any official documents are completed and recorded as quickly as possible. The Redlingers, Mr. Perez, and the purchasers of parcel B have been extremely patient and willing to work through the process. And finally, the county recognizes the value it has received from the extensive surveying done on this project by top-of-the-line surveys and paid for by the Redlingers. Thank you very much. I would be happy to answer any questions.
So actually, all we're trying to do is do that, is allow the lot sales restriction to be removed from parcel B.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't think this was a bad thing for you.
If that's what it is, it sounds like a good thing. I was never told exactly that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's great. If we all have a meeting of the minds, and I'm happy campers, be happy to sell macaroni and cheese tickets for the Chaffee County Habitat for Humanity.
So what do we need to do procedurally?
I think
We
just
need to-
approve an amendment
An
to
amendment.
Resolution 2017-44, lifting or providing that the lot sales restriction would only apply to parcel A after the sale that Mr. Cooper described. So it would not, the lot sales restriction would not apply to parcel B.
Okay.
And I can add on the Commissioner Phelps' note about the notes in the planning staff report, add something that the applicant has since obtained a augmentation for parcel B.
I thought thought A was on the north side and B was on the south side.
I believe that's correct.
It is.
Correct.
Mhm.
And we do have an address for parcel B on the south side.
Dan, this check from June 23rd to Upper Ark, is that for the augmentation for B?
For B,
Okay.
south side.
So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, I think we should correct that too. Right?
Sure.
And just to note that parcel A can then be released from the lot restriction by either making application for the boundary line adjustment or minor subdivision or lot line elimination, or second, to purchase augmentation.
So Mr. Perez has those options.
Yes, Mr. Perez has those options, and he can submit the application for either lot line elimination, boundary line adjustment, prior to owning the property.
Okay.
Oh, it can be done prior to owning?
Yes, it can.
Okay.
Yes, it can.
All we have to do is get Rudy back from Alaska. and his
That's
work,
my
which would be
understanding. So
the next
Perez would
piece.
actually sign the application, but that would allow Mr. Perez to move ahead as soon as he's back in town.
Okay. That'd be perfect.
So can we just,
You don't even need to renumber it because it hadn't been filed yet. Christie noted the issue after you approved it, so I think it's fine to just have me amend the language. I was uncomfortable doing that without
so
you
could
knowing
we,
about it.
So can we just reference as amended? Or as proposed amendment?
Yeah, just approve an amendment
Yeah.
to Resolution 2017.
Okay. I move we approve the proposed amendment to Resolution 2017-44.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Have a good day. All right, now we'll go back to item C, which is a public hearing. Consider request for a special event permit from SCA Battlemore 8. Property is located at the Meadows Farm, 15100 County Road 350, Buena Vista. There is a bit of explanation. The folks were not applying for a waiver of the fee. The fee has been paid. We just need to approve the special events permit because it is over 500. They are anticipating over 500 people this year. So that's why we're having to, that's why it's on the agenda. Anybody else have anything to add? It's pretty cut and dry. There's no alcohol. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to
There's no alcohol sales.
say? Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for that clarification. Folks, who knows?
What's in those landscapes?
We're bringing mead to this event.
Yeah, we don't know what to do anymore.
Liquid courage.
Yeah.
Is anybody here to testify on this application? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. The applicant isn't here.
Yeah, they're here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Does the applicant wish to say anything?
You know,
Please address, give us your name and address.
Sure,
And so I can
sure.
swear you in. This is a public hearing. I gotta swear you in.
No problem. So my name is Perry Rogers. I live at 4004 Ridge Drive in Pueblo, Colorado. And I'm here representing the group.
And will your testimony be the truth?
It will be.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we're a group of medieval history buffs. And we've actually run a small event at that site for the last 4 years. That event typically has 250-ish people. We just had it a couple of weeks ago. Actually, there were 237 there. So much smaller than the event we're proposing. Over Labor Day weekend, we anticipate between 900 and 1,000 people at that event. We're a family organization, a bunch of people interested in medieval history. And we had this gentleman in the front, whose name just slipped right out of my head because I got nervous as soon as I stood up.
That's John Rhoda.
John, thank you, John.
Sir Rhoda, yeah.
He and his wife came out and then sort of toured the event and took some pictures, and hopefully he's had a chance to brief you all. But I came up today in case you had any other questions or concerns that I could address.
Keith?
Yes, I do have a few.
Sure.
Thank you. One, I'm kind of pedantic sometimes. Does your Rogers have a D in it? Or?
It does not.
Okay. One place it did. So you're like Aaron Rodgers that way. The second thing, you mentioned that the only sort of partying or anything would be at night around the central bonfire, central campfire, non-amplified music, and so I don't know if you'll have, what, lutes and things like that playing? Or?
Yeah, you know, instruments that would be appropriate to medieval.
Led Zeppelin fan.
Older than that, sorry.
Yeah.
Misty Mountain Hop.
Yeah, Battle of Evermore.
There you go.
So where is on here, where is that going to be for the?
See this triangular
Yeah.
shape? Right there, more towards the north of that triangle.
Okay, all right. So let me tell you my concerns, and I don't know if the property owner or anybody else voiced this to you, but during Vertex, and I understand this isn't Vertex, they had a silent disco at night, and they had, the participants had headphones on, and the music was silent except for them coming through the headphones. And I guess they would, listen to EDM or something, but periodically they would all jump and whoop and make other sounds. And some of the people living here in the neighborhood said, they're right, we couldn't hear the music at all, but till 2 a.m. there were people yelling and whooping and stuff. So just be aware of that. And
So it is in our plan. We have our own on-site security, first aid, that kind of thing. And it is in our plan to come up the weekend before and circulate our contact information around the neighborhood to the immediate area. You know, if we start bugging you, please call us before you call the police, and we'll take care of it. You know, that kind of a thing. So.
Okay. And then I was somewhat surprised by seeing the length of the entire event in the application. So it's 9 days altogether or 10 altogether?
So that includes all of the setup time.
Okay.
Our first, the event itself begins Tuesday at noon and technically runs through the following Monday morning, which is Labor Day weekend. But most people are going to pack and leave Sunday night because they need a day to rest and get back home. We have people planning to come from all over the western United States.
And walking around in that chain mail and stuff's got to be tiring.
And hot.
And hot, yeah. Okay. Those are the only questions I have.
I had a question, but I think it was kind of internal for us. I don't know, just on this one email here between Patty and Paul, John Mueller CC'd on, but I don't know, she wrote, somebody wrote in 12 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Yeah, that was.
There where it says we do not sell alcohol. People are permitted to bring their own. I just didn't know if that was any significance.
I thought that related to the nightly party.
Well, this appears to be a pretty quiet group. And it is my understanding that they are not going to have any alcohol sales, but they don't prohibit people from drinking alcohol in any way.
Sure.
What I witnessed was truly a family event.
I do have one more question. When people come onto the site, do they generally stay there for the duration after that, or is there a lot of coming and going, or?
So the majority of the people are going to stay on the site, but we have a number of our members who are various medical disabilities or aging. The club's been around for 52 years, so we've got some older folks that are occupying your hotels and stuff here in town. So that'll be pretty much the only coming and going.
Okay. Has there been any interaction or planning with promotions or anything in town, or?
We haven't done any advertising, and we haven't put up flyers. We have a number of members who live here in town and probably spread it by word of mouth, but.
You need to be a member to get in?
No, sir. So we're a public group, right? We're a nonprofit organization in the eyes of the IRS. So one of the ways we attract members is by letting people come and see what we're doing.
Yeah.
You come out, you see what we're doing, you think you want to do it too, and so that's our main recruiting tool. So we offer free tours, as we gave to him and his wife a couple of weeks ago. And we call that our hospitality tent. Somebody will show up and say, what's going on here? And we'll get on a walkie-talkie, which is not a medieval thing. And we'll get a tour guide to come over and walk you through the site.
Send a herald over or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we receive, I didn't see any in our packet, but for the record, did we receive any written communications from members of the public, one way or another, or phone calls, or anything?
Not through my office, perhaps Patty.
I talked to her about this morning because she wanted to clarify the confusion. She didn't say that she had received anything.
And so you do have a number where people could call you if they say, hey, it's 1:30 and people are making a lot of racket over there.
Yes, actually there are 3 of us that are going to be listed on the card, and we're just going to go knock on all the doors the weekend before and introduce ourselves. Hey, we're going to be next door doing this, and if we cause you any disturbance, let us know.
Okay.
I did have one other question regarding emergency medical. So it looks like you have 2 paramedics within your own?
We have 2 that are our medical people of record, if that makes sense, and then we have a large number of doctors and nurses in our group who are also in attendance. So.
And then He's, it says on-site EMTs and EMS coordinator will act as first responders and point of contact for any medical issues that arise. Chaffee County will serve as on-site ambulance service via 911. So I take that to mean you've got your own people, and then you'll call 911 dispatch if you need
Exactly.
an ambulance.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we have a tent where those services are coordinated that will be just inside the gate. So if we do have to call police or ambulance, we'll meet you guys right at the gate.
And have you communicated with, like, our EMS coordinator?
So Paul Collins, who is the gentleman that goes back and forth on email, he has been communicating with your police and fire officials.
How do you make sure that they get copies of these applications?
Yeah.
So they would be informed of what's going on?
Okay, because I didn't see any response from them.
So when we talked with them, we pointed out that we've been doing a smaller event here in town for several years, and the police chief said, well, I've never heard of you guys. I said, well, isn't that a good sign?
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as long as, I would encourage you to directly talk to our EMS coordinator, just so they're clear that this tent that you have is right by that front gate, and they don't need to be trying to find you. You're there, and someone will be
Right.
flagging them down, that kind of thing.
Is your EMS through your fire department?
It's through 911, it's a county EMS.
Because I know he's spoken with police and fire, but I'll make sure.
Yeah. So we can get you, you guys can contact Patty again, and she can connect you with Josh Hadley, he's our EMS coordinator. But I think that would be smart, not wait until the time to have it, but just go over it. We have had a big event there before, and they were in and out of there for a bit, and so he may have some thoughts for you.
Okay.
Sounds like it won't be a problem.
We'll do that.
I assume that, having worked in some training and role-playing scenarios before, that if there is an actual casualty or somebody does have an actual real-world physical problem, there's some mechanism that you use to convey that this is not part of the drill here, this is real world.
Absolutely. We're not the kind of group, we don't go into some sort of role-playing character for the duration of the weekend.
Yeah.
You'll see guys sitting around talking about their jobs or whatever.
But even if you're in the melee
Yeah,
or whatever,
yes.
somebody actually does, because it might be hot, as we
Yes.
said, and they actually do have a heat stress problem or a cardiorespiratory event or something like that, you've got some way to signify that this isn't part of the enactment, this is
Yes.
an actual situation.
Yes, sir, we have long-established mechanisms in place for this. Like I said, we've been around for 52 years, so we've dealt with a lot of things in that time.
Okay, I'm sure you have. Okay. I would move we approve the special event permit request from SCA Battle Moore 8.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, gentlemen, for driving up. I know it had to have been a beautiful drive up this morning.
It was. Thank you guys for
So it
this.
did.
You're welcome.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, I had thought we would have some other guests this morning, Jenny, but apparently they're not going to be here, so we are going to consider an MOU with part of the Rockies Regional Medical Center regarding the proposed 154, County Road 154 relocation and potential road vacation.
So this is a draft agreement that was prepared by the part of the Rockies attorney. I've added in numerous comments which are based on what we've required in a similar proposal. Several years ago, the county did do a vacation and relocation in connection with Permit 302. And so we had a road relocation agreement that we had developed with that. And so I simply incorporated the comments, the types of provisions we had in that agreement. I've sent that to the hospital's attorney, and he thought that they were all fine.
I'm sorry,
He thought that they were all fine,
Okay.
and I'm just working on getting a clean draft. There was formatting issues with the draft that he prepared, so I wasn't able to get paragraph numbers and so forth, so each of these paragraphs will be separately numbered, but I think in substance, he thought that the hospital would be okay with these changes, and so I think we're good to go with what we have here, unless you have comments on it.
Any questions or comments?
I have a couple little minor typo kind of things.
Okay.
It's just called Colorado Parks and Wildlife now, since the merger.
Right.
Technically, it would be a division of Department of Natural Resources, but they've gone away from division, and we just Colorado Parks and Wildlife. That's their official name. Then
CPW.
on 2.2, I wasn't sure about this, but second line of 2.2, at fee simple, should that be fee simple title? Or is that how you say it?
It can be both ways.
It can?
because, yeah,
Okay.
but
I wasn't
think it
sure.
would be better to have title.
And then also right down here,
Notice you.
it says notice C. Somewhere in here.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. And then I also wondered about, yeah, it is just CPW, it's not CP. And then I was thinking about our friend Kayla. I assume that when you talk about reclaiming the vacated portions, they're gonna be doing weed mitigation, and
Yeah,
that's falls under reclaiming.
Right,
I assume.
yeah,
Okay.
that's how we usually.
That's all I had on it.
Did you have any input on the reclamation?
Well, CDOT will control the right of way, how they feel that to be seeded, however they stated in their permit.
That's from the fence to the
And then-
highway.
And then CPW will control the reclamation. There might be some parking that really hasn't been finalized, so.
I talked to Jim yesterday afternoon, and he exactly what you said. He said, we think we're gonna go in about 100 yards and then maybe put a parking. He said the design quite isn't there yet, and so on. And then I also asked him about the 60-foot right-of-way from the junction of the new road onto County Road 154 to County Road 160. And he wants us to draft a letter of request to him, and then he will forward that to Denver and get the ball rolling, because it has to go through real estate, it has to go through several steps. But I thought we had asked how to go about doing that. Obviously, I didn't hear the right way to do it, otherwise this letter would have been done months ago.
We have engaged Henderson Land Surveying to go ahead and prepare the description of the land.
He wants a letter to even before that, just to draw everybody in on what we're asking for. And I said, we're asking for a 60-foot right-of-way to continue from the end of the new road to County Road 160. Not saying we're going to get that, but that's what the letter, I feel, should say to start off with. So, Rob, I guess if you get that started.
Sure.
And Jim said he would get it up there right away as soon as he got it, so we can get going on that.
So, there was some commentary under, I guess, C of certificates on page 3 right above 2.3. So, any cost incurred, would that be if we are what do you think would be the applicant for the?
I'm guessing because of
For the-
it being county road, we would be the applicant for the permit with CDOT.
So that ties to that language then, for any licenses or permits we would
I
pay
could call
for,
that
and
out.
then seek reimbursement for.
Is that how you want to handle it?
We might have to handle that way, or they could probably pay for the permit, but we would be the owner of it.
So I could say something like including any CDOT permits. I know that's their intent, but they're planning on picking up everything.
Yeah, did they provide a draft or a starting document to us?
Yeah, so the black is what they drafted, but it was in a strange format, so when I tried to make, the changes are in blue, and those are my changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
has this been back to them since?
Yes,
With this?
yeah, so they're okay with the blue.
So this does memorialize that all costs associated with this relocation shall be borne by HRRMC.
Yeah.
And, okay.
The only tweak that they asked to be made, and the hospital's attorney hasn't had a chance to point those out, that he just wanted to make it clear that the hospital doesn't own the underlying land, which, of course, is fine. And my biggest concern was making sure, besides that the hospital picks up every cost, is I'd really like the road vacation to go through first. I had to take out some language that said we will vacate the road because we can't contractually vacate a road. We have to go through a public hearing. And so before we sort of, assuming we're going to vacate the public road, I'd like to have the public hearing so we can get that hurdle over with. And like we did on 302, we had the public hearing and the approval literally years before, because of the holdups with various issues, years before the 302 was actually relocated. So we can do the vacation right away and just make it contingent on getting a new road built that you're comfortable with.
But that's not part of this.
I put a provision in there that, so 2.1 is saying that they're gonna do a petition up front. And as far as I'm concerned.
So they have to,
Yeah, they should petition because there's expense involved in that.
okay. All right.
And then
Now I
present a
understand.
petition, and then we would notice it just like any road vacation. And presuming that the county approves it, it would just be conditional on completion of the roads and compliance with this agreement and all that. So it's more of just a procedural issue.
That seems funny that the hospital would be petitioning for the vacation when the landowners, Parks and Wildlife, I don't think they petition to have the road vacated.
If they're willing to do that. And they're
I
not
mean,
the one though
it seems weird
that's
that you can
driving
petition to
it.
vacate a road that doesn't go through your property.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I would rather leave it this way than try to bring them in, because that'll.
I agree. It just seemed kind
Yeah.
of weird, you know, I mean.
Bring another,
I'm gonna
You know,
vacate your
Another
road, Dave. I'm gonna petition to vacate your road.
Yeah, well,
Well-
yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's what
seems
happened
weird.
with 302. It was Paul Moltz that petitioned to vacate 302, which affected numerous
Right.
property owners and was actually highly controversial because
Right.
of that.
The one along the lake,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, down.
yeah.
And certainly Parks and Wildlife will be noticed of the hearing, so, they'd have an opportunity to voice concerns at the hearing. But that's why I want to get that part done,
Yeah.
so we're not
No,
contractually promising to do something that we have to do through a public hearing.
Well, they won't meet till the second Tuesday, so do you want to just have a clean version of this next Monday for adoption?
Or next
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
sorry, next Tuesday. Next week.
Yeah, how much notice do you need for the hearing on the vacation?
I think it's 14 days.
Should we, what has to be done?
Plan to move forward?
No, you could approve the form of agreement. I don't think there's any, this doesn't commit to it. That's one of the changes I made, was just making sure that it's stated that, tried to make it sound that it's conditional on the approval of the.
yeah, it's subject to approval of the road vacation.
So the road vacation doesn't have to get finalized in the next month if the hospital, it's up to the hospitals to pass them on have it done.
Well, they want to have it done fast, they're already using the road. The new road. I mean, where it's gonna be, I'm sorry, where it's gonna be. They've set up a parking lot down there, and some of the construction vehicles are coming in there
Well,
rather
it'd be good
than
to get the
going.
vacation done.
So we need
Winding
them,
around through the hospital.
Yeah, I'll talk to Mike, or the hospital's attorney, and
What do you need from us then?
and if you wanted to approve this format today, subject, give me authority to make any minor changes that they may have once it goes to their board. If there's significant changes, bring it back to you.
So this is technically, this is just a memorandum of understanding this.
Well, it's a contract. To me, a MOU can be a contract. It's a contract that says this is how it's gonna work. But the contract is subject to the road vacation.
Well, I noticed when we get back here later, they were striking out and putting agreement in the language as far as the intercity transfers were concerned. They like the word agreement better than.
And I understand that because I think people get confused when they see a memo of understanding, they presume it's a level down.
Yeah.
But technically,
That's
if
me.
people are making promises on both sides and there's a signature at the end, it doesn't matter whether you call it an MOU or an agreement, it's a contract. It's the nature of what's in the document that makes it rise to the level of the contract.
So what?
So if you want to just
What
approve this in
language
form.
would you like to be in the motion? That's what I'm just asking
I'd
for.
say approve the form. If the board has minor changes, authorize me to work with their attorney to finalize the language with understanding that if there's any substantive changes, I'll bring it back to you for review.
Lori? You got all that?
Did you capture that?
Okay, I'll so move that.
I'll so second that.
and then, so somebody is going to get back to the hospital right away, because with this 14-day deal, they need to submit, if they want to deal with this in August at all, they got to submit within a week.
Yeah, I'll let their attorney know, but Bob, if you can talk to somebody else, because I don't know how fast he moves.
And then, John, was it you that was gonna, or talking with DOW then, the real estate division about the,
I would be happy to work with Bob in the preparation of that letter.
okay, so might as well just get all these things moving now.
I'll find out where Mike Henderson is as well.
Okay.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks. Do you need to have a recess?
Just a brief one if you want to.
Okay, that's fine.
I didn't see that one.
I will be back shortly.
Morning, Sterling.
Good morning, Dave. How are you
Nice
guys
to see
today?
your bright and shiny face.
It's not bright and shiny today. I woke up ill this morning. So
You what?
I woke up not feeling well this
Oh, I'm
morning.
sorry to hear that. Well, you didn't have to come
But
up.
then I was headed to Crestone, and I realized, no, I gotta be in BV, and then I got over here, and I realized, oh, you guys moved it on me again, so I haven't been here to the annex before, so it's
It's a new
okay.
experience.
Yeah, chance to go eat at K's or something. What, no problem? No Keurigs. It would appear I have a lot of time doing the work across the street and get you one sitting right there. I could, there's not even coffee in here. harsh.
Sad state of affairs.
That's,
isn't it?
yeah, that's harsh. That's harsh. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't really.
That's why it's expensive.
Was there a sterling on the door? Did you make it all the way to the?
There were just some people standing there in, the normal conference room, sort of at the door.
Yeah.
They, as soon as I walked in, they kind of looked at me like you're in the wrong place, and they told me. So.
Yeah, it's not implied.
Right.
Okay.
But you
And
want
the
to
letter
make that-
doesn't imply that.
No, I know, we want to make that.
Good, okay.
Okay? All right, moving on to item G, consider resolution establishing the Chaffee County Marijuana Excise Tax Advisory Board. Jimmy?
So we started discussing this, I believe, at the work session, and there were a few comments that were made. The first, just going in order, had to deal with potential conflicts of folks being on the board from the public who may represent entities that are applying for funds. And so I just proposed adding something that said, to the extent possible, community members should not be affiliated with an organization applying for funding with the county. And then there was some discussion on page 2 about the duties and responsibilities, about to what level applicants must have a record of success and sustainability beyond the funding through the excise tax. And so instead of making that mandatory, we proposed making that optional or encouraged. Then in terms of the further duties of the advisory board, one would be to develop a template for a grant agreement, and presumably that template would contain language that would require applicants to, or recipients to provide reporting and how they've used the funds and that sort of thing. So that should cover that. And I have forms of grant agreements that I can work with the board if they need some templates. And then in terms of the pool of money that will be available each year, the board, first of all, had some discussion about a reserve account. So this just includes language asking the advisory board, or mandating, I guess, that the advisory board come up with a recommended reserve amount and what's going to trigger it. And the next piece of that is talking about what's actually available for funding. So the proposal would be in 2018, it would be the $100,000 that is collected in 2017, or limited to that 100,000. I'm presuming it would be beyond 100,000. And then in future years, the pool would shift to a fiscal year based on a fiscal year ending on September 30th. So for 2019, it would be a short year. It would be January through September. And then that would be 2019. And then beginning in 2020, it would be collections from October 1st of the prior season through September 30th.
So in a way, you've addressed the fund balance part by throwing 3 months will be carried anyway, just by the general logistics of this. So that's part of that, number one, so.
So it's what you were just saying, the 2019 allocation will be based on taxes collected from January through September of 2018.
Correct.
And then the 2020 allocation will be based on a fiscal year of October 1 to September.
Yeah.
September 30.
Or September 30, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, I also struck the word county because I think in the appointment of the initial board, the law enforcement agency representative doesn't necessarily have to be from a county sheriff. If you all just, it's whoever you decide, but if for whatever reason you wanted a different law enforcement agency representative, this would give more flexibility, which I think was kind of the initial discussions on this.
Well, this is a county tax, so it's not a municipal tax.
Right.
And this is strictly a county activity where the tax is being created. I don't know,
And it's up to, you could still make it the sheriff, this just gives a little bit more flexibility to the board.
I understand that, but if it were enforcement, if it were distribution, then I just think, these are my thoughts. I'm just thinking that means this is a unincorporated county activity, the tax is created by the unincorporated entities that are in an industrial zone. I would like to see that word company left.
Yeah,
But I just.
because the makeup of in-house and out external folks is pretty close, you're right, that kind of makes a big deal.
To me it does, but I don't, maybe I'm over thinking this or exaggerating this, but
I'm just trying to think why you, this would enable us to put a municipal law enforcement.
No, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying, that the tax is coming from unincorporated Chaffee County municipalities that we got.
Right. But it can be expended
Oh, it will be.
in a municipality.
Oh, it will be, or used, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the applicants don't all have to be county activities, municipal activities.
I can certainly
Well,
leave
I'm
that
just-
in. It's,
That's just my thought.
I agree with you. I think when I'm looking at a pool of law enforcement applicants that are, apples to apples, but I wouldn't want to be forced to, take the guy who drew the short straw at the sheriff's department, let's say, when we've got a police chief who really wants to actively work on this, or something like that. I get what you're saying. The most important thing is somebody who's excited to be there.
Yeah, and who's gonna show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the issue,
Yeah.
showing up. I also, on the, community members should not be affiliated with an organization. I think about the Visitors Bureau model that we sort of derive this from, and everybody's conflicted with everything they do in some, if you
they
stretch
have
it
to be
enough.
actually.
Yeah, they're required.
because, yeah, by statute, they're required to be completed, really.
Yeah.
If you think
Yeah.
they're-
But they're funding those two industry sectors, not individual businesses, right? And that's a little different.
That's been a area of controversy because there have been certainly arguments that if you're advertising skiing, it's benefiting Monarch. If you're advertising hot springs, there's been allegations that we're pushing Mount Princeton or, whatever. So it does create some difficulty because of the
Well,
small.
it is indirect as opposed to direct.
Exactly.
There's one step removed, but you're right, and they try to keep that broken up to all the different sectors.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Climax Community Investment Fund Board, sooner or later, and usually sooner, very sooner, you are conflicted. Because somebody within Chaffee County would be applying for something, or somebody in the town of Buena Vista would be applying for something, or somebody in the city of Salida would be applying for something, and there was no duty or even expectation that you would recuse yourself. And the same thing happened with the other counties and the other municipalities in the region.
It's interesting because in this board, you're gonna have, as a voting member, the Director of Human Services.
Yeah.
I would recuse on any program applications for, I mean, I don't know. I would. That's just me.
And would that go, I mean, would your suggestion extend to the Director? of Human
Yeah, I
Services?
mean, I guess as long as the voting element works, so that you're not taking a vote out of the overall.
Well, when you have these things structured the way that they should be and can be, it really dilutes the impact of any one person. When you have the grading criteria and the spreadsheets and everything set up right, there's a lot of stuff running in the background, and unless somebody really gets inside the spreadsheet, they're unaware of the weighting and the scoring and what all is happening there. And so that's the first hoop that you have to make it through. And when there's 7 or 8 members or 9 members or whatever, how many of the panel, then that further dilutes it beyond just the mechanism itself. Then you establish kind of a cutoff line of what the grade is to even get into the discussion part of the process. And then when the discussion happens, now you're all in the room together, and there are 7 or 9 of you, ever how many. So in a community this size, I'm not that uncomfortable with just having it say to the extent possible.
Also, I think, I would feel like, at least in my mind, I would define the recusal process a little different than, say, what we talked about with the planning commission, in that I would not have a problem with Dave Henson presenting something, but then not voting. So, in other words, helping people understand what the program is, let's say, but then not voting on it. And I also think you should remember too that obviously people get passionate about their causes, but this isn't like, it's not directly going to benefit them financially the way even the Visitors Bureau can, or the Planning Commission, that kind of thing.
Right. It's not a commercial interest, it's a nonprofit.
It's all for the good, really. 99% of people are involved in these things for altruistic reasons. So to the extent possible is fine with me, I guess, but I just wanted to say something about that. I don't really have a problem with somebody advocating for a really good project. They're the best person to describe it, what it is.
Under consideration. But what do you want to do on the law enforcement? We talked all around it, but we made a decision.
No, I'm okay with striking county from it there, so that we do have the opportunity to appoint somebody from the municipal law enforcement agency.
I am too.
Okay. And it is struck. Any other discussion? I don't think there is. I think we go forward with this resolution, then what is the thought as far as getting these?
We better advertise pretty quick.
No, I agree. I agree, because we already know we got the 100,000. Thanks, Sterling.
Well, I guess in my mind, you advertise, and then I guess you guys will interview who you want on the
Yes,
committee.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's inherent on them to either look at templates, get a structure in place, and get that application turned around pretty quick.
And we have a lot of work.
What's an appropriate time for application submitting? How long should we advertise? Try to get this thing off the ground?
2 weeks at least, probably.
And then set up I'd like to be I'd like to be back from my trip. So, yeah, if we could do that, and then when I get back, we could set up interviews right away.
When do you get back? Is this late August?
5, 12, 12, 13.
What was the final thought on the community members' affiliations?
Just leaving it to the extent possible.
Did you want me to add anything on recusal or leave it up to the board to address?
Well, I think if a member of the board, let's say, let's speak hypothetically, a member of this board is a compensated employee or contractor of a applying agency. It doesn't have to be specified as 501c3 or anything like that. If they're a compensated employee or contractor of an applying agency, then they could directly benefit. I might see a need to recuse there, but if it was somebody, and we used a specific example of Dave Hansen before, if Health and Human Services or one of his organizations was applying, he would not be directly financially benefiting from it. So I wouldn't see any duty or really expectation for him to recuse himself. But there's so many of those different scenarios you could play out. I think we empower the board to police themselves on that. If somebody's uncomfortable, then they speak up just like we do or the town boards do. Mr. Irwin?
Just a question on that. I mean, in 8.9, it said rules and procedures for the advisory board, and the board is going to establish those rules of operation. So I would think that these kinds of policy details are things that, by the September 15 deadline, the board itself should work out.
Right.
And I think it also would be self-policing in that you got 3 community members there. So if one person's coming in advocating their cause and saying, oh yeah, and I want to vote for it, there's 2 more that are going to say, well, wait a minute, that's deprioritizing the other things. I mean, having done this kind of thing a lot, it strikes me that it will self-police, but they also have the option to write those rules. And I would think that's something that they would want to do by that September 15th deadline. Granted, there's a lot of work to do between now and September 15. Writing the application will not be a trivial process.
I guess I'd suggest maybe that we leave it the way it is, but we try to maybe meet with them when that board's first constituted, and just walk through this.
Well, we might want to make that part of the interview process, too, bring up this.
Yeah,
Sure. But, I mean, once we've got them there, just kind of talk through a few things that came to mind for us that we were a little concerned about. And just get it on the table so that they could then, as Sterling pointed out, on 8.9.
Yeah.
Or no, 9, I guess. I think it's just
Well, 8, yeah, I'm sorry, 9.
Yeah,
Yeah, we think you ought to maybe talk about this and just.
Well, and it's interesting too, the end of that, it says, with the guidelines for advisory boards as adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. So it strikes me that there's an implicit approval of those rules by the Board of County Commissioners at some point, is there not? So in other words, wouldn't you guys have veto power if they didn't adopt something like that, or? Jenny's nodding yes,
so.
okay. So I mean, I think you still have the authority to change this at a later date too.
Yeah.
You guys are going to have a work session and meeting on the 7th and 8th while I'm gone, so that leaves Monday the 14th open. Should we just go ahead and try to do interviews on Monday the 14th?
Dave, I thought the 14th was a work session.
Yeah.
The second
That's the
Monday-
third Tuesday.
Second Monday is the 14th.
Yeah, that's what I was
it's a work
told.
session.
Are you gonna, okay. Well, okay, then that'll be before the third meeting.
So we've got the 1st, the 8th, and the 15th, and the work sessions on the 14th?
Yeah.
Can you get back when?
12.
Well,
Put that down on
that's
this
kind
one.
of better. We only miss the one.
Okay. That being said, do you want to, excuse me, I had taken it out. Do you want to What about the 17th? Are you guys available on the 17th? I've got COG on the 16th.
I don't have anything on the 17th.
I'm available on the 17th.
No.
Bob, your wheels are turning.
Well, Dan and I have a thing, but that's fine. We don't need to be there for the interviews.
So can we put that in the ad as well so people can?
So, yeah, I need to have a submittal deadline date, probably the 11th.
Submittal of applications.
Yeah, and then we'll turn that around and
It's pretty quick.
Well, they're just, I mean, if they're interested.
Yeah.
I know a
Just
couple
a
of people that
letter.
are real interested in it, and they're pretty much ready to drop their stuff in the mail, they just want to know.
so we want like resume, any qualifications, whatever, as part of the ad, I presume.
Yeah.
Okay. And then August 17th would be the interviews.
Yeah, so we start at 9. And Patty can coordinate that, she always does a good job.
Okay. I muddied the waters with Jenny. I didn't muddy the waters, just asked a point of clarity on the last box under the appointment of the board. I think if you try to broaden that a little bit or allow for other partners in the overall public safety arena, to include the judiciary, the DA, so that there may be occasions when there may be a good rep out of that arena, and they're doing a lot of things for families and kids. So I would recommend that you add either public safety or judiciary or something along those lines.
I thought adding both. I recall now when we were talking about law enforcement, I think that arguably picks up the DA, but there's other offshoots of the judiciary and public safety that you might want to just broaden that to.
Law
to
enforcement to be a, what word?
So I'd say member of public safety, law enforcement agent, public safety agency, law enforcement agency, or the judiciary, something along those lines.
Yeah. In fact, I was thinking
I
that
like
when you
that.
said county, I thought about the.
I thought about the DA's
judicial
office,
district,
but
yeah.
invited them to part. Anyway, yeah, thank you, that's good. Okay, so do we,
What are we on here? It's
well, I
45?
guess we need to make a motion to go ahead and do what we've just been discussing, so we can move forward. Direction to Bob to get a,
What resolution number we have?
This is 46.
well, it's just not this resolution, but it's also directing to put out for
Advertise.
and set the date for it. 17th, too. We might as well get it all in there. Okay, thank you.
I move we approve Chaffee County Resolution 2017-46, establishing the Chaffee County Marijuana Excise Tax Advisory Board and advertising for members of said advisory board and establishing Thursday, August 17th as the date for interviews for prospective members of that board.
Second.
Just before you vote, did you want
As
me to
amended, I'm
add
sorry.
something on conflict of interest policy, or just leave it silent?
I say leave it alone.
Yeah.
I agree with Sterling, let the committee come up with it. So it's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now this is the real reason Sterling came. Consider resolution acknowledging the impacts of Tabor on the Chaffee County marijuana excise tax. Okay?
So we've discussed a little bit about the Tabor requirement, that anytime you have a new tax, when you have your notice, that it has to include what the notice and the ballot issue has to include what the estimate revenues are going to be for the first full fiscal year. And so when we did our ballot issue, we estimated that to be $100,000. After the resolution to put it on the ballot passed and the notice was finalized, there was a lot of concern brought up by the cultivation producers that 100,000 might be inaccurate and the actual collections in the first full year might exceed that. So I know that Sterling's had a lot of concern as to how that's going to be handled if the collections for 2017 exceed $100,000. He believes it could be significant excess and has asked for some clarification from the county so he can inform his investors and better work on his business model. So what this does is just outlines basically what is required by Tabor in the situation if the collections do exceed $100,000. And really what Tabor specifies is that if it goes over $100,000 in 2017, that any excess would have to be refunded to the folks that paid into it. And the way this resolution sets out that would be refunded would be based on their pro rata contributions. So it would be simply just divvying it up based on what their contributions would be.
If payments for the first 3 quarters exceed 100,000, do we still have to collect the 4th quarter and then refund it back, or can?
Yes, because the 4th quarter could be not the same pro rata piece coming in at today, so you need a full 12-month window to make that calculation.
I see, for refund. Okay.
Well, and also to establish your baseline for this resolution.
Well, you would still have to report, but I'm just
Oh, you're
thinking
saying
money
still-
transfer.
Bringing the
Yeah.
money in, yeah.
But,
And yeah, that refund will happen probably by January 31st or something like that. We can get some sort of.
no, I understand that, Dan, but I was
Yeah,
just thinking,
yeah, we talked about that too. We thought once we had 100, everything after that just doesn't have to happen, but.
other than the reports, you gotta have the reports the first
The
year.
allocation could really change in that 4th quarter, so we can really take off.
It just seems
We understand
simpler to go ahead and collect
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
do the reimbursement if it's
Okay.
exceeded.
I had to ask.
I
There's
appreciate it.
a second piece to Tabor that states that if it is indeed exceeds what you estimated it to be in your ballot issue, that excess is then would result in a proportionate decrease in the actual tax for future years. So it's basically ensuring that there won't be at least an intentional understatement of the potential tax in order to get a measure passed. And this is Tabor's way of trying to ensure that. So in this case, what that means is that if the collections exceed 100,000 for all future years would have a decrease of that 5% based on what it is in the first year. So the example is that if 300,000 is actually collected in 2017, for future years, you'd reduce that 5% tax rate by 67%, or 2/3. And that would be a new rate for future years.
Yeah, so this is a weird system. I'm sure they thought it through. Can't imagine they would have made it this weird just because it was marijuana or something.
It's just Tabor.
It's Tabor.
It's Tabor.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it is kind of bizarre. So one thing that does bother me about this is I wish we could, I'd like to have the formula and then have an example. We ought to be able to put this into an actual sort of logic problem / math formula.
Yeah, just kind of what I showed you before, this that cross multiply thing where 300
Yeah.
over 5% equals 100 over X, or however you do that
Yeah,
straight
'cause-
math thing, and that's really how it works, back to exactly what the Tabor says. It's a little different direction, but it comes to the same place, so.
So it would, so the formula, is this right? I mean, I have to derive it from the example. That's what I don't like about the way we have it. But that you would say, you would have excess, you know, this is all applied to the first year, excess tax collected divided by total tax collected.
There's a simpler way to get there, I think.
I think so too. But
Just in expressing it. I mean, you get to the
Yeah.
same number. One way of expressing it is, what's the delta? The other is just take the 100,000 and divide it by the actual for 2017. That fraction times the original tax rate
there you go.
is the new tax rate going forward.
Because, yeah, see,
You
that's
agree
more.
with that now?
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
Well, at one time you said that your attorney said that there wasn't anything Tabor was going to do to adjust that.
I agree. And one of the reasons I wanted to be here was to thank Jenny and Dan for all their work on this, because when Jenny called me with, you know, an explanation of kind of what she had come up with going through with her counsel, and then we got on the phone with our counsel, and they agreed that this was accurate, so, but in terms
You
of,
went,
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But in terms of the way you express the formula, one way is to say, express it as what's the reduction, but the simpler way is to just say, take this fraction, multiply it times the number, gets you to the same place.
It's more positive, I think.
Right.
It says this is leading to the number, not this is leading to something that you then do to the old number to get the new number.
Right, it's just, I mean,
It's kind of
There's
weird.
a problem in Tabor, everything they've ever done has been like that.
yeah.
On the fiscal side too, it's all, doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
But
They're
you
out of box.
explained it, Dan, that way, one of the first times we talked about it. The clarity was there with it.
But I presume that the language that Jenny has in there is based on the statute, and so it has to be that way, yeah.
And it's actually in the Constitution.
Okay.
Okay, well,
I mean, that, not my example.
Right, but it gets you to the same place. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, am I taking the reduction, or am I just taking, you know, the net number? And my approach is just taking the net number, which is simpler,
yeah.
but the statute apparently calls for showing the reduction.
So my thought then would be to do both. To
Okay.
say, you know, to go with the Tabor thing, so you turn this example into an actual formula. And then you could say, for example, and then you could say, another way to describe this equation is what you just said. Have the projected first year
The 100,000 that
tax
was in the blue.
collection
Right.
divided by the actual multiplied by the excise tax rate.
Would give you the new tax rate.
And that way, I like that, memorializing it that way, so that, because I think people can look at that and understand it very quickly.
It's a lot simpler to,
Yeah, you'll include that, Jenny, so.
Yeah, I can just put the
Okay.
formula
So
in
there's
the end.
paragraph
Two
3 there.
separate deals of.
It's
you might have
good to have
put
an
in something
example,
about the
so you can
commutative
check it
properties
out.
of math, or, you know, of addition. or
Train
something.
A is traveling east.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This is beyond what we.
And you thought the
covered.
SAT didn't help you out any?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100,000 divided by, yeah, X, right? We don't know
Yeah.
what, it's not 300,000, it's whatever it
well,
is.
we can say Y, times Y,
Right, times 5. Right.
times .05.
Right.
So Sterling, you're saying the projections are still pretty close, you know, we. you said you're gonna
We're not
sharpen your
less than
pencil.
we're not less than 200,000.
Doug Bruce was
minimum.
on.
We're not less.
No, I
than
know
that.
tax
It
collections.
may be higher.
Everything's based on
It kind of depends on,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
as we're trying to get through the pipeline of plant counts and some of those other things I was explaining in that work session. But we're not less than 200, and then whatever the other guys are, maybe 25
So
or something like
originally
that.
you said 275, that's too optimistic, so it's.
It
actually-
might be, yeah, well, and the other thing is I haven't actually gone and counted all the trim components separately, so it's gonna be at least 200. It's probably somewhere between 200 and maybe 225.
For who?
Just us, just for us.
Do you, okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
But somewhere in that range minimum. And then it might be a little bit higher, it just kind of depends on what happens with yields, it depends on what happens with production. You know, at the end of the day, we're farmers, so we can't predict anything with that kind of degree of accuracy. It's not quite like making widgets, but somewhere in that range is kind of the minimum number.
And then Martin was talking about, and maybe you understood it better than I did, that production's been way down the first half of the year for some reason, and he's expecting this exponential increase before the end of the year.
Even an exponential increase, though, on that small of a baseline probably won't have that big of an impact. I mean, my understanding was he had a crew that he was unhappy with, and so he turned out the whole crew and hired a whole new group of people, but that basically meant starting over. So he had a big gap in his production. And then, now they're yielding better and they're doing better. What that means, though, in terms of what his total is for the year, I don't know. I forwarded him a copy of the resolution and asked him if he wanted to attend today. And I don't have Don Milanovich's information, so I didn't know how to get it to her, but I asked him if he did, would he send it to her? And I have no idea what her numbers are either, so I don't know what she's doing over there.
Hers are pretty small that first, second quarter, Dan.
Yeah, I would imagine
Yeah, it's escalated a little bit, so yeah, well, it sounds like the netting with what Sterling's saying now, we're gonna be in that sweet spot still, so.
Yeah.
For all of us.
In the 2 to 225?
Maybe 225 to 250.
225, with everybody in?
Yeah.
And so we'll end up somewhere between 250 and 300, so that's.
Cool, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's ironic because now every dollar I pay this year helps me in perpetuity for 2018 forward, right? Because it's
Yeah.
increasing the
Well, it does.
denominator
No,
of
it
that
does.
equation.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, isn't that interesting? And furthermore, we've paid the 100,000, will have paid the 100,000 for the year, so all that money that I'm paying this year actually is coming back to us anyway at the county level, but at the state level, it doesn't, right? So there's going to be some interesting consequences, but there's no way to game it. It is what it is. We're going to produce as much as we can. So, and I assume the others are going to do the same.
Yeah, well, as you explained to Greg and I when we took our tour, because that 10,000 square foot house was gonna,
Yeah.
every month it's gonna get fuller and fuller until my guesstimate was the middle of September. I don't know.
It's about right. First week of September, actually, is when we should be harvesting at full capacity.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're about a month away. So we were at 57 plants a day, now we're adding 90 plants a day. And we'll start harvesting 90 plants a day the first week of September. And then we've also been out trying to find, and I think we've located licensing for the next facility, that we can acquire a license and then we would have to move it to the county. But the trick is you have to get to that tier, of 10,200 plants. And if we started at 1,800, we have to wait 6 months to go to 3,600, wait 6 more months to go to 6,000, wait 6 more months to get to 10,200. So you're 2 years down the line to get to what it takes to fill the next greenhouse in its first phase.
What does that mean to us and the county, that, like Sterling just said, going out and buying a license under our statute, under our ordinance?
I think they'll just get, I don't think it's gonna have a huge impact. They'll have to get a new license through the county. Is that what you're asking?
Well, yes, that's exactly what I mean. So
Right.
will that be one of the 3 that's not in use? I'm trying to understand
No,
from what we set up.
no, it just
changed
applies
that.
to the
Right.
producers. So
So
I'm sure he has
licensees,
multiple licenses with the county.
we have 4 now. Yeah, but
But
it
he only counts
wouldn't,
one, he only counts
But
one.
he's just one.
right, one
Towards our
licensee.
6, because it has to do, the concern when you did the moratorium was not on the number of licenses, which depends on all these different factors, but rather just you didn't want a whole bunch of different producers coming in. You wanted to limit the number of producers.
Not the number of
Not-
licenses.
Not the number of licenses, so someone who has, if Sterling had a medical and a retail
I
license,
understand
it's still
that.
just one.
Yeah, we're using 2 different definitions of license here.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
One's more like quota or something.
Yeah.
Or capacity.
I always just think of it as the difference between a licensee and a license. So the moratorium really applies to the number of licensees. But the moratorium also goes on to say that a licensee can have multiple licenses and could continue to add them as long as it's on their contiguous property and a few other things like that.
But my understanding, what I thought I understood, and obviously I didn't understand correctly, was that the licensee could have a retail a medical and
Extraction. Yeah.
extraction.
Well, there's cultivation. Think of it as a matrix. There's cultivation, there's extraction, and then there's dispensary. And then for each of those, there's a medical and a recreational variant.
So there's 6. You could have potentially
There's 6 kind of licenses out there.
That's what I thought. And
Yeah.
then I thought that being he has to go out and get another license for expansion, that would come back as a known licensee. That's where my confusion
Yeah.
is. But if that's not the case, that's fine.
He'll have to do an application that's just under his current.
So
We have to
you're
have
saying
a license for everything. I mean,
we wouldn't even be amending.
Well, I think he'd be coming to John with a new
right,
permit.
with a new application for an additional license for that licensee.
Okay. I'm ready. Are you?
Yes.
So I was
Whoops.
just.
Jenny's not.
I just want to be sure I have what you wanted. I'd add a sentence that says, in the event of an excess, the formula for calculating the new rate would be $100,000 divided by the actual collections multiplied by
In
5%.
2017, again.
In all future years. Oh,
You,
actual
2017
collection in
collections.
2017.
Of 2017.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
formula.
And
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean,
Times
you
the-
could say instead of, yeah,
So I have
It's a-
100,000.
Nope, you're awful quiet.
About this, I
Yeah.
am.
that's how.
We're pretty vocal about a few other things.
Okay. Is that your motion?
Yeah, I move we approve county resolution number 2017-47, acknowledging the impacts of Tabor on the Chaffee County marijuana excise tax calculation as presented and discussed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Great work, guys. Moving on.
If I may, I'd like to
Yes.
say thank you to the county commission and to the staff for all the work they've done on this. I really appreciate you guys working collaboratively with us to find a solution here that works, and it's a huge relief. I still think it's going to be one of the largest sources of tax revenue in the county, interestingly, but let's hope that's the case. That's a good sign. It means we're being successful. So, but thank you again.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your patience and understanding so that all of us could understand. I mean, this has been no
It ain't
easy
easy to
road to go
understand.
down, and
You've got the intersection of Tabor and the medical marijuana laws, and then the recreational marijuana laws, none of which are making a lot of sense, so.
Well, it was pretty amazing to me to go into something like you just described, this complicated,
Yeah.
and then come out the other end with everyone going, oh, cool.
It's
This is kind of going to work for everybody.
Yeah.
And especially in consideration of the growth that you project and the impacts that the initial thoughts on this suggested. It's really, I don't know, I think it just feels like you hit that sweet spot as Dan said.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Well,
glad for you.
if we get Greenhouse 2, the first phase of it operational next year, by the beginning of the year, and we can do full production for the whole year, you know, this number just from us is probably $300,000+ in 2018, so.
How much? I'm sorry.
300.
Yeah.
That's assuming that we get everything up and running by January 1, which is what we're aiming for, but yeah, it's still a big number.
Yeah. Thanks for bearing with us.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So what day are we meeting Tuesday? Next Monday? Next Tuesday.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. Notice on my agenda, fortunately, come back to the wasn't up in Twin Lakes or something.
We used to have it this way.
Granted.
Yeah.
So this kind of works better, actually, for the audience.
Yeah, they could come in and out easier.
Yeah. It's,
Kind of like this.
this room arrangement, when they used to do it, the commissioners were over here, and it's just left nothing for the.
I don't think there's anything else on the agenda I want to do.
Proper planning.
Glad you guys with us, so I'm gonna get back to work.
Okay, thanks, Sterling.
Thank you.
Travel
Appreciate
safe.
it.
Okay, we're moving on to item I, consider request for a letter of support from Canyon Vista Ranch GoCo application on behalf of Central Colorado Conservancy. Bob, I guess nobody's,
I received a request from Lucy Waldo earlier in July to ask that we would consider a letter of support for their GoCo request, which I believe is due on the 3rd of August. And so she had provided a template sample that we put on letterhead, made some changes for your consideration. It's to support their application for funding the Canyon Vista Ranch, which is a conservation easement project, including the view shed for Browns Canyon, National Monument, Arkansas Headwaters and Rec Area, Collegiate Peaks, Scenic Byway, and all of the key attractions for the area. It also is a working cattle operation providing beef for our nearby restaurants and economy. It's an important ranch property in relationship to Chaffee County's natural watershed. Also provides habitat, water access, which is kind of what the letter of support is saying. So,
But no funding.
she did make a small statement that they would probably be in August to ask for some matching support. I asked her if she could elaborate and haven't gotten anything back on those lines, so I don't know what to say on that.
Greg had a, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done.
Greg had a comment on that too.
Well, just that I'm glad to move forward with supporting this, but I want to be clear that doesn't imply a commitment of funds. I mean, that's a separate question that we're going to have to, I would say we'd have to spend a lot more time looking at that. So, I mean, I'm ready to move forward on motion to approve this, but if you guys, unless you guys have other stuff you want.
I do have one or two questions. So, the GoCo grant would underwrite the Central Colorado Conservancy's acquisition of the development rights. That the Central Colorado Conservancy would hold the development rights, not GoCo.
Right.
Okay. That's the only thing I wanted some clarification on.
I think. And this has been my last 6.5 years. The letters were one thing, but then money was totally different. Bob always made sure it was not on the same agenda item. Everything was separated as clearly as humanly possible. And I think Andrew has always respected that. But I'm glad you're bringing it up. And I mean, this is the first one for this year, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll get a motion.
I would move that we approve the request for a letter of support for Canyon Vista Ranch GoCo application on behalf of Central Colorado Conservancy and submit this, sign and submit this letter to GoCo by the deadline.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Item J, consider a Community Builders Housing Institute application by Chaffee County, by Chaffee Housing Trust for Chaffee County. Reed?
This is pretty brief. I'll explain to you guys.
Reed, give your name and address really for the,
Reed
Laura
McCullough.
likes to have that when she goes back and listens to the CDs.
Pete McCullough, Executive Director of the Chaffee Housing Trust. I live at 17559 County Road 368.
Okay,
So the community builders you know of, we've talked about them before, and we submitted an application to do a 6 to 8 month process with them, and we're still waiting to hear back about that application. Part of that, or another service they provide, is this Housing Institute. So it's 3 days, the 27th through the 29th of September, and the idea is to put together a team of 6 to 9 people, diverse representation of the community around the housing issue, and then go together in this workshop and receive some training, some learning, and then start working on coming together to tackle the problem. So it's seen as a complement to that other grant that we submitted, and that this would create a smaller core that could help work through that larger process. And it also strengthens our application for that larger process. So I sent it around to members of the HPAC and all the elected officials in the county, as well as administrators seeking input, and then some other individuals that I knew that might be interested or are involved in the issue. The one group I haven't reached out yet to are the developers, builders themselves, and so it'd be nice to get some folks on board for that. Because this is a county-wide application, it seems that, and it does need to come from government, it seems it's appropriate that the county be the applicant. Although just as with the other application, I'm happy to pull this all together. Just that it needs your blessing, and the only question that could arise is if we have more than 9 folks interested, then we would have to select some folks out of that pool. And right now I've got a number of folks from the southern end of the county. I've spoken with Phil Puckett and of course emailed all the trustees about it. And I spoke with one of the trustees trying to encourage her participation. So hopefully Philip will come back with someone from staff at BV. And I sent it to Poncha. I've not heard back from Brian, and I kind of suspect that they're not really up their alley, but waiting to hear.
So, in the materials you circulated, it said that the funding would be provided by scholarship. Is that the case for all the participants in this?
All costs are covered except for transportation and perhaps one lunch and any expenses.
Okay.
So they put us up in a hotel in Glenwood and provide everything sort of our guest house.
So is the overall approach on this to craft a housing strategy for the county? Is that the, if you had to say it's one thing, that's what the intended goal or outcome would be?
You know, I'm solicited from all the people who have shown interest what their goals would be, and then what we'll do is when we get everyone, get all those statements, then we'll kind of fuse something together or prioritize it. But given the discussions that we've been having, I think an overall strategy is part of that larger Community Builders Grant, and then this could be focusing on some of the details of that or trying to accelerate that process.
Yeah, it says here, participants will leave the CBHI with a better understanding of how to develop an effective housing strategy and a clear plan of action for next steps in the community. So I would hope by that, what it means is not that you guys will be coming back with the plan, but coming back with a better way to lead the county communities and firming up that.
And from what I've heard, the community builders, one of their strengths is figuring out ways to engage the community, and so that part of that would be training us or teaching us some of those skills and coming up with some strategies to effectively get people together.
So it sounds like this could actually have benefit in addressing other problems in our community, in the sense of sort of developing some of those kind of leadership techniques and that sort of thing.
I would imagine those skills are transferable and wherever those individuals go. I think part of the goal here is that it creates a cohort that builds a relationship through this process, and we're somewhat on the same page, and then as we are in our different parts of the community, we all have that connection, and so it helps the larger process move quicker.
I've been to a couple of these in the town of Buena Vista, and they are very beneficial.
I think it could be a great benefit for the community, and especially with this larger grant application, it supports that, and if we can do both, then when we start that larger process, we'll have accelerated things significantly. So the question to you is, are you willing to be the applicant and charge me with the process of getting it all together, and then I'll bring that to you before submittal? And then secondly, selecting the people who are going to participate. Since the county would be the applicant, I would assume you'd want some say in that, or not. That's up to you. I mean, if we only have 9 folks interested, then
Yeah.
we've got a team of 9. If we get more than that, that would be great. And some people are flexible, and they'd be happy to step out if there's too much representation in one sector.
Well, move the county submits the application for the Community Builders Housing Institute to be prepared by Reed McCullough. And if we have more than 9 applicants for the 9 allotted seats, we review that list and select 9 attendees.
I would like to amend that, Keith, that if there are more than 9, then Reed and Greg and Keith review those applicants. Make that decision.
I will accept that friendly amendment.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Then, we move right into housing strategy discussion. Commissioners Baker, Felt, and housing advocate Reed.
Okay, well, the intent of this is for the 3 of us to have a discussion about housing strategy and the direction of the affordable housing effort, the housing effort in the county. It was not intended to be a wide open public meeting. This was noticed to comply with sunshine law regulations and open meetings requirements. It's one thing to, it's just to document the fact that the discussion was held, not as an open invitation to the general public. So that's what that's intended to be.
Well, we have to worry about the general public, they're not here, so.
Correct.
But I mean, you want to have a discussion now, or?
No, that was not what my desire or intent was.
Oh.
My intent was to have a conversation between Greg, Reed, and me. Well, just to document the fact that, to let the public know that such a discussion was being held on the advice of council, that we noticed the meeting.
So, are you going to have a meeting in the
Yes.
future? So you just need to notice when that's going to be?
Well, the intent was to do it after this meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So, that is all out in the public now, with the press present.
So that will
So there's
be-
no
it'll
intent to deceive, there's
basically-
nothing
yeah.
clandestine, there's nothing anything like that.
It'll basically be like a work session, so public can be here if they want, but obviously, other than folks here, it doesn't seem like the public wants to be.
Correct. And we could do it in my office, or
Sure. Yeah.
what?
And if the press wants to observe, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's
as a
certainly
work
nothing to,
point.
Oh, now the public's here.
oh, yeah. I think Reed wanted to include Marjo, so.
So would you have some comment?
Well, just logistical, I guess. And I wasn't sure how this, I know what was intended, but I wasn't sure how it was playing out, so I wrote up with these guys. So, I don't know, were you
How's
guys?
your thumb working?
You might write.
Oh, I'm north of 162.
Get your long run in for the,
But we are in your district
I
right
know,
now.
I know.
Right now.
that's right, by
I know.
about 25.
I'll just commandeer a vehicle and,
Yeah. Well, we'll figure that out.
so, I don't know, were you guys gonna have lunch or anything? Is it too late for?
Craig Margaret, can you?
Marjo can give you a ride.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Swear, good driving record.
Well, might as well have lunch.
If you guys have lunch, I can, like, if you go to Jan's or something, I can just walk over too.
Okay.
So,
So this item,
or you can stay for this if you want.
no, that's all right. No, I think you guys are doing a great job. I've got some things I'm working
Your
with.
kindness.
Slide Housing Development Corporation and COG, and I'm just doing some feelers out there, so I'm not out of this by any means, but I'm doing, my stuff in a little bit different direction, different. We're trying to find as many opportunities as we can for Chaffee County.
That's what we gotta do.
That, and there's no question about that, because there's no one easy answer, or it would have been done a long time ago. So,
Agreed. Okay, well,
so then, moving on,
so I'll just, well, I can just write back to Marjo. And then you guys tell me when we're done.
okay. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Report from the county treasurer for the month of June 2017. Report from the county trustee for the second quarter 2017. And we pay the bills.
I move we approve the report from the county treasurer and the county trustee, and we pay the bills.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Old business county project status report.
I don't have anything specifically to that. I do have a couple
So
clarification pieces.
go into the round table then. Indeed.
I had given you a copy of the Mountain District, proposed Mountain District meeting for the 24th.
Yeah.
And I think we've already figured out Greg's not going to be here. But historically, what we've done is usually taken the van and all done up together.
Yeah.
I'll just RSVP and Keith if you think you're going to go.
Let me check real quick.
Nope.
Yes, I can go out to reschedule something, but I'll go.
Okay, I'll go ahead and confirm for the two of you and Dan and myself. Just a quick update on the recycling IGA. We did get an exhibit back from Mickey Berry. I did last Friday, and I've already gone through and added my proposed changes and I've sent that out to the various parties. Philip already responded, thought it looked fine. And so once that's back, hopefully this week, I'll have Jenny go ahead and get an IGA put together and we'll get that turned around. So I just wanted to tell you that that's hopefully going to move forward, get put to bed here within, by the end of August. So that's all I've got.
Dan?
Couple things, you were talking about the treasurer's report, the Fed has raised rates a couple times over the years, so interest earnings are finally going to be starting to come back, so you'll see that through the budget process. So after all those years of just being immaterial, it maybe, it's almost doubled or a little more doubled in the last year. So that's a good sign for us as an owner of assets finally. So, and then also, this is something that Keith had brought up a while back as far as these signs, so Mark brought in some what ifs on pricing on that. So I think you put in a counter piece that's $3,000 some.
On the portable one,
Right.
Do traffic counts.
We thought about portable made sense really in the scheme of things for a while anyhow, and so that's the cost, because it does have the counter piece and a couple of small things on there. But so as it, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The portable unit is ready to roll. The post-mounted one, all that is solar, and the sign, it don't count the post, it don't count the batteries, or if we powered it, or run power to it, so basically it's just solar, so it'd go up another $300 or $400. The batteries are about $150.
So we have to,
What sign?
The one on the second page.
Oh,
So this is a
So the total cost of a fixed one would be,
Probably roughly about, and I didn't go to bids, this is what I found on the internet.
yeah,
It'd be about 500 more than that total there, so about what, 6,800.
yeah.
So the thought of it, we have to have a philosophy of how we're really gonna use these and how many we truly need, if we're gonna just do them for a certain amount of time to get people's attention, or, you know, that kind of thing. So if you end up purchasing 2, 3, 4, something like that, and you have to decide, do you wanna put this in the budget process, you wanna do it before then, just, so you guys think about, maybe we talk about it in a week from now or something like that, just to see how we move forward as a group, a true philosophy on this, so.
yeah, I think we gotta decide what we're really trying to accomplish.
So maybe we need to have a work session, conversation just on this, as kind of a pull-out piece, so.
Yeah, we can talk about it at the next work session.
Yeah, I kind of like the mobile, I mean, you could do a combination of both, but I like the mobility idea because if you're doing some planning on projects, those might come in handy once in a while when you're in a certain area.
Yeah.
Flexibility of the mobility of those things, so.
Yeah, before the town got the fixed ones that they've located around, we got 1 or 2 of these, and we kept moving them around, and they had an impact.
Yeah.
My question is on permanent signs, and if they're flashing like that, it's like anything else. After 21 days, people just, they're there, but they don't even pay any attention to them anymore. So is that money well spent? Do we have enough visitors that's gonna slow things down, or is the intent for the locals?
I think the local response is different than highways or something that's traveled by people who aren't always there.
Right. So
I think if it's people that travel it every day, it probably has less of an impact than it does if there's a lot of visitors and stuff coming in.
So we'll put that in a work session.
Yeah.
Move forward.
anything else?
Maybe some puncture strips.
That's it. We're setting up, I have your notebooks to you probably by tomorrow, setting up all the different times on the 21st and 22nd for all the department heads and so forth. So you'll have your full workbooks at that time. Anything else you need along the way, just let me know. Once you see what the initial packet looks like. If you need any more digging down, just let me know.
I just want to add, it's nice to have a reporter that lives up around 162.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
For validation.
Attention, yeah.
Yeah.
I did call Keith Baker on
The other Keith Baker.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't call
Ken's brother.
No,
Burger.
Keith Berger, sorry. Berger. Holy smokes. No offense to anybody. Wow.
I'll take it.
Don't put that down.
Fingers not on keyboard.
I'll take it.
And we're still got a long way to go because we haven't gotten any place yet. Well, they tried to kind of, without going out to bid, came back, said you can't go without bid, and so anyway, they're still.
Credit card was maxed out.
Don't have to worry about that on your work schedule quite yet, Mark. County Road 300, signage.
Maybe the marijuana fund.
The stoplight, we might get something done. I'm gonna keep pushing to get it in
Well-
this year, I don't care.
I ordered some signs for what we talked about, and I'll put them up as soon as we get a chance, to slow people down on the curves, to make it a little more clear what's going on there. I just went ahead and ordered them. And, you know, we do have the VMS boards now, they're both operational. So there's things we can do that way. When they're not in use, that one could be there, one people going in. So we do have a few more options now.
Jenny, you got anything else? Lori?
No, sir.
Keith?
Yes.
I'm sorry, John? Did you have anything this morning?
I was going to go ahead and just mention that I am meeting with the town of Buena Vista about every 2 weeks right now, working on our intergovernmental agreement. I feel like we've got a few of the nuts and bolts kind of together. We have a document that the town and the county seem to be willing to use as a template, knowing that a lot of, knowing that a roadblock for getting this all set up last time was simply the maps of the growth areas, the municipal service area and the like. So I am working with town staff on that, and again, we're doing this about every other week. And our last meeting was last Thursday.
Is this following somewhat the intergovernmental agreement with Salida?
Yes, the format of the actual agreement document is a duplicate of Salida with the appropriate changes made to it.
Well, you get this one done, then you only got one left.
It'll be a feather in the cap if this can happen. Joel Benson, of course, would like to see it by the time he leaves office. So that is
Good, because
what we are.
promised to me by the time I left office, but the problem wasn't on your side of that, I understand.
We will continue to actively pursue this.
Yeah.
All right, Keith, sorry.
That's okay. The Transportation Legislative Review Committee was in BB yesterday, and Mayor Benson and I walked them around the Highway 24 project and showed them where some of the funding that they provided and how it was spent. Stack meeting is Friday. I'll either attend in person or via the miracles of the internet, and I'll send you some thoughts on the VA meeting next week, since I'm not going to be here for it. I'll be gone from Wednesday to, I hope to be home Sunday evening, if not Monday sometime. And so you are not going to be at that next Tuesday meeting on 8?
Correct. Okay. And when there's fall coming before me, so I'm gonna take that week and forget about life.
So I guess if you get hung up, let us know. Let
Don't
me
worry.
know.
Don't worry.
And I'll adjust the agenda according to.
The public know.
And then Bob did check with Phil, and Phil will be,
Yeah, he'll be in town. Well, we're all going.
Over the weekend while we're all out.
prior proper plan, anyway,
That's
never.
right. Nobody started anything.
The only thing I have to add is, I went down Thursday, Canyon City, to the groundbreaking for the tax credit subsidized homeless complex that's being built down in Canyon City. When I was there, I talked to Judy Lonis, and at the next COG meeting I'm going to be in August. I'm going to, hopefully between then and now and then, I'm going to get with, oh shoot, what's the recycle lady's name?
Beth Lawrence.
Beth, and try to get back on track for this grinder, this for the COG region grinder, so that we can see if this will work. And I'm going to take the point on that, because if it will work, then we will be the lead county. Everybody understands that. But anyway, I want to get that back on track, so that rather than we're just us going out and spending $750,000, if it can work in a partnership that makes sense, then I think that's the way we ought to go on. That's kind of reforming back to where I thought. Anyway, anything else?
Just a couple on this County Road 300, that's the one in the Ruby,
Yeah.
right? With all this Chalk Creek stuff going on, the river's been muddy from Chalk Creek down a number of days, which affects availability of fishing water, and I've had some conversations with Rob White about that. We have these very complex rules, as you know, regarding Ruby Mountain. But they've purchased some of the land that's south of the boat ramp, downstream of the boat ramp, and are expanding the boat ramp.
Yes.
Maybe they already have. I haven't been there myself lately, but in that context, there's been some discussion, I guess, about maybe changing the complex regulations regarding Ruby Mountain, which could in turn actually lead to an increase in traffic. And I think that would be some good impetus to then turn around and say, we got to move this mountain, or put part of the mountain in the river or whatever, and move beyond the temporary fix to actually doing it. So I'm going to follow up on that, because obviously that would take a while to get organized, but it seems like there's maybe more reason to do it. Also, related to Chalk Creek, I went up there on Saturday and just drove all around the place, and was absolutely blown away by amount of material. Your photos don't do it justice. And it really is impressive, and I was impressed too with just what you guys have done up there. In terms, you can just see everywhere you've worked on those new gullies that formed on the uphill side of the road and kind of rebacking it. And, just want to say good job, because I know you got a full slate of stuff already. And the feedback I've had from people that I've talked to up that way was that the county responded quickly, effectively.
Most days we were there cleaning up from the day before.
Yeah, yeah.
And on the county road issue, I couldn't do anything until it dried out. It was on the plan to do.
Well, I'm not going to tell her that. She's happy.
Well, we should tell her, because she now thinks you got it done. It was on the plan
Yeah.
too.
More proactive than that.
Yeah, well, we knew the road was bad, but there's nothing you can do with it. It turned to soup if you blade it, so.
Yeah,
But we're up there now cleaning it up. And we're gonna
probably have more.
come up with a plan where to put some of it, so.
Yeah. And then the one other thing is, I got back, the Colorado Correctional Industries was having a meeting maybe a couple of weeks ago about the electronic recycling pilot project idea. And they are still moving forward on that. She was this is the finance director of Department of Corrections, wanted to make it very clear they hadn't dropped it down the list, they're working hard on it. And I went ahead and told her, based on my experience at the pre-dump day, that I felt like if it made this project more feasible for them, that we could, rather than having different drop sites all over, we could have one drop site at the landfill, and I think that would, the vast majority of people would take advantage of that when we happen to be passing through, if it was truly free. And so she said we should be doing something soon. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. It's hopeful.
And Mark, tell the guys just how much we appreciate them busting butt and getting things done. And I don't know where you got the manpower or whatever.
All hands.
It's pretty much all sleight of hands. I do have one blade running around in there, but everybody else is up there.
Also, I want to point out, I went over to the boulder field. It's going to be a baseball field, and holy crap, a lot of boulders. I mean, honestly, those things have to be evacuated, because otherwise it's going to be a nuisance hazard, and that's what insurance companies call those kind of things, like things that kids can climb on, and they're going to slip and fall and get caught in between those boats. I mean, it's just.
I'm not sure what the final plan looks like, but a lot of that is supposed to be hauled off.
Yeah.
In time. It really wasn't, they weren't asking for us to do it.
Well, we've already told them that we don't have rock beds and boxes, and we not only know, but hell no, we don't even think about it. And then for Keith and Greg, at the closing for the, what do we call it, townhouse for the ambulance employees, John Dieslin was saying kudos to us, and it shouldn't have been to us, it was more kudos to Mark. He said Mark gets more things done accidentally than most do on purpose. And he's just ready to go to work for him, and we'll have the proper equipment up there so that once you guys start hauling fill, they're ready to go and everybody's ready to go. So
I think that's supposed to happen Monday.
start Monday, and you think it's what, 3 or 4 days?
I'm hoping I can get it done in 3. It might bleed over into the next week a little bit. Kind of depends on them and where we're hauling from. So,
And
you know, it's
162?
What else happens?
That could depend too. It's 4,000 ton, and I can haul 1,000 pretty easy if it's close, and figuring in haul about 1,500. So it shouldn't take too long. And I have one thing I want to talk about while we're all
Okay,
here.
sure.
When you got a chance. Cottonwood passed the speed limit issue up there. Me and Bob got an email about this. We need to clarify, we need to simplify it.
As far as the design?
Yes, for the new road. There's two options. We can hire a traffic engineer to go up there, survey everything, bottom line's money. And in my opinion, we need to start with a baseline in the valley of 45, 35 up top, and maybe the top 2 miles, 30. I'd go look at it, but what I'd like is the freedom to get with James and set the speed limit for the entire stretch of road.
Yeah, I rode up there the other day, and I think, you know, what you guys were saying the other day about the variability in the speeds everywhere, I think we could standardize it like you're saying and make better use of the local advisory signs underneath the curve signs and the warning signs and everything else. And I don't know how much people pay attention to those, but I know
Well, they do.
I do a lot more than I used to, now that I understand them.
I think, up top, the design speed of 30 is accurate. But I think through the majority of the mountain, 35 is accurate, and I don't want to go over 45 in the bottom.
Right.
But the reduced sign, the reduced,
Yes.
what do they call that, a warning
It's an
sign?
advisory
It's called
sign.
local advisories,
Okay.
local advisory
Because-
speed or something.
No,
Your
we would have-
RVers are the ones that really pay attention to that because they know what their rig can and can't do.
And
Well, I
there's,
always try to
there's
get 10 over those.
things that you gotta watch when you do that. You can't reduce more than 15 mile an hour.
Below, so
Below
if
the
it's
speed
30,
limit.
so if it's 45, 35, you can still
You
go
could
down
go
to
to
20.
30. If it's 45, you could go down to 30
But
as
if
an
it's-
advisory.
But if the constant speed is 35 from there to the top, you can still drop it
Right.
to 20. And I don't know that any of those curves need to be below 20.
I don't think,
No, the
no,
20 is
but
too often.
yeah, and before I send anything to James, we could discuss it
Yeah.
in a work session. I'm thinking, and I don't have it in my head, but the top 2 miles with all the switchbacks, the steep grades is a 30. We open it up to 35 and we control the curves with advisors.
I don't have a problem with
I'm good with you doing it, Mark.
your challenge. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I just asked Jenny whether the board would still do a formal endorsement of that after that's done or not.
Yeah, I don't know the rules on.
Just
Well,
to
it'd
make
be,
sure.
we can adopt the recommendation.
Right, which means,
But for now, let Mark and
Right,
James work
absolutely.
on it
Yeah.
and then come back with
Engineering
a
going,
formal recommendation.
my
I think
point
that's-
was that, so we don't just arbitrarily go out and change speed signs wherever on any of our roads is in the process.
I agree.
Yeah.
With the risk issues that you described the other day.
I guess, John, another question comes up. Ian's, look, his first is next Tuesday already. Hate to see the summer go by so quickly. Have we heard anything on a new design or a design period on County Road 140?
I did receive a phone call from ACA day before yesterday. And they have come up with a way to put a road going out of the south end of the pit, across the Bowen Ditch, over the ridge that's there, and coming into a new intersection on Highway 50. So it is my understanding at this point that the applicant would like to go ahead and finish this out with a new road that has a new entrance onto Highway 50.
This would be a private drive.
This would be a private drive entirely on the Elizabeth Holman property, all the way to the connection with Highway 50.
Now,
So
John,
they're-
John, correct me and help me understand here how that can possibly be, because I don't think the ranch goes to Highway 50. From what you just said, now I just want clarity in my mind.
I did not think that the ranch went to Highway 50 either, and we have been looking at local aerial photography, trying to, really, could this possibly happen? But essentially, what they're doing is the connection of the Holden lands to the right-of-way of Highway 50 would be about a half-mile west of the pit. So we're about a half-mile south of the pit already, and then that road is going to make the connection to Highway 50 about a half-mile west of going straight south from the pit. But my brief analysis of it so far, and I did ask the applicant to send me a picture, and they responded pretty immediately. What they're doing does make sense on a first blush. They have acknowledged that they are going to have to get highway access permits, which we're all real clear on. But it looks to me like they have the ability to put that road entirely on Holden Drive.
Okay, I'm anxious to see that, because when we reviewed this 10 years ago, and I was on planning and zoning with Mr. Reimer, we couldn't see that.
To you as soon as I'm back at the office.
No, and they've been saying that it couldn't be done, so they figured it out.
And all of the analysis from the last application and the like, it only indicated a lot of complexity on it. But it really is quite remarkable to me that it's all the right characteristics. They're doing a gradual grade going over the top of the hill, and then they are switching that grade back so that when they get to the highway, they are going to be at the grade with the highway.
Just question, would this be something that then, because of the application, be gated off at other than hours of operation, so that people wouldn't be just?
Oh, I would imagine, that the Department of Reclamation Mining and Safety does require that all mine entrances are posted, not only with posted with the name of the pit, and they are to be access controlled.
So this would be classified as a mining private drive, not a ranch private drive.
Yes, and therefore I anticipate that CDOT would be working with them on a commercial access permit as opposed to a ranch.
ACDC lanes and everything.
Very, very possibly, very possibly. These are big trucks going on to a fast
highway.
But essentially, because that driveway would be going on to US Highway 50, it's not our jurisdiction. It would lie entirely with CDOT.
Would you anticipate that the application to us could be changed then as far as operation?
I anticipate that the application will be changed to a degree where they are removing any and all use of county roads 140 and 250.
And therefore, because of what you just said, there will be no condition. Thank you. Conditions.
Yeah, they're not going to use County Road 140 or 250, and therefore we cannot impose conditions on them regarding the use of it.
Including the operating hours of the pit or the operating.
No, you can still do
That's
that.
still-
Okay.
Well, that's what I was getting, that's what I was
Their
trying to work
operating
my
model
way.
changed because now their revenues need to change.
That we don't know yet.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Most of the time.
thinking, rather than doing it 6 weeks or 2 months during the winter, and then trucking out.
Every other year.
Yeah, every other year, and then trucking out, it seems to me, from a business
They
perspective.
could,
you'd
however,
be-
that appears to be the model that they use for all of their pits.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what.
Remember, I mean, the applicant is professional at building roads.
He does have that in mind, but
Yeah, they have the equipment. Sometimes they have, I've seen them do pretty major projects just people have downtime where they might have to lay some people off or something, they just move them on to something like this. And
I think
knock it
Trout
out.
Creek Meadows and all of the undedicated roads surrounding Mr. Motz's reservoir, in addition to County Road 302, is a real demonstration of that to us. And yes, I am aware that ACA Products will always put their employees to work on another project as opposed to doing layoffs.
Yeah. It's how they built the dam, really, in many respects as well, so
Okay.
it's good.
I guess thanks for the update. I didn't realize.
That was this big of
I'm excited. I'm just,
Well, it's, everybody who's thought about this has, I think, gone down that path, and so it's interesting.
They have come up with what appears to be a real solid way of doing it.
okay. Once again, anybody? Jan, you got anything?
No?
You got it all straight in your mind now? Whatever's in the mountain mail is gonna be absolutely perfect?
Yes.
One last thing while we're talking to you on 162, thanks for giving Mark and his crew kudos, and thank Merle for his column today, doing the same thing.
I haven't seen it. I got off the plane at 2 o'clock this morning in Denver, so I haven't seen it yet.
All right.
But I will.
Okay.